welcome in for another episode of Ball Club Confidential. I'm your host, Austin Price. Tennessee basketball in the midst of the SEC basketball tournament. Tennessee baseball really getting rolling over there at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Big show tonight. We'll talk to Griffin Merritt coming up, the American Conference Player of the Year a year ago, who's now a Tennessee Vol. But before we talk to him, we'll talk to James Clawson. James, you kind of look at where we're at here as we hit almost the middle part of March. Basketball's wrapping up. Baseball's in full swing. Kind of what do y'all have planned for baseball as fans kind of get revved up for Tony Vitello and another run at Omaha?
Yeah, so we're working on a lot of events throughout the whole entire season, almost every single game on the porch. So we'll have to do, we'll invite members periodically, but, we'll have a presence on the porch and in the stadium. We may do some tailgates outside the stadium for certain games on SEC weekend, so we're still working on that.
Then you got the Orange and White game coming up April 15th. It's an easy date to remember. It's my wife's birthday.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. Can you kind of take me through what you all have planned for that big event?
Middle of April should be great weather. We're going to have a huge tailgate. We'll have a lot of players there, probably basketball, baseball. Actually, baseball's going to be in Arkansas, but we'll have some players there. Should be a really fun weekend. Maybe getting to do some stuff with the team after the game where we can do some stuff with autographs and meet and greets and stuff. So working with Tennessee on that, but should be a really fun weekend for the spring game.
All right. Now let's get to the star of the show, the newest Vol, Griffin Merritt.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Griffin, you're a Cincinnati kid. You're playing at Cincinnati. You're the American Conference Player of the Year. Now you're at Tennessee. Kind of take me through that decision to leave your hometown team and then, come to one of the hottest teams in college baseball.
Yeah, it sounds a little weird, doesn't it? But no, after last season, and I was trying to decide what I want to do, and with the draft being late in the summer, and the season I kind of had, I thought I was going to sign the draft, and when my negotiations kind of fell through, I was kind of in the spot of, do I want to go back to Cincinnati or do I want something different? I think when most people hear like portal transfer stories now, they think they think the worst, which could be rightfully so sometimes. I think, somebody was unhappy or, they didn't like the situation they were in. But honestly, that wasn't at all the case. I loved it there. It was my home really, where I grew up. And I got to play in front of, my family and friends. And I loved every second of it. But I, decided at that point for my career what was best was to, a new challenge and a new experience, something I could grow from in a different way. I think I was so settled in that conference and in that school and it had a lot of success that, I wanted a different challenge. And that's why I decided to transfer. And I had to actually jump through a bunch of hoops to even be eligible to transfer because I missed the portal date, which was July 1st, which makes no sense now since the draft's after July 1st, that you can't transfer after. So, yeah, that was a whole mess. But I got in, thank God. And just when I was deciding on where to go, I actually came to Tennessee. It was my second visit, really my first visit that I, kind of cared about, I guess. And I just fell in love with it. I mean, I love the coaching staff. I love the place. I love my teammates, and it's been great.
How aware were you of, and I know Tennessee was number one for so long last year, but, were you kind of watching that team from a year ago going, man, they're having a lot of fun? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely something, just a mutual respect. A team that wasn't in the conference I was in, wasn't really on my, my headline, but every week, you see what they do, and they're just from baseball player to baseball player. How hard it is to perform at that level with that consistency. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like you're going to tip your cap and respect what's being done. And, when I decided I wanted to transfer, the biggest thing to me is I wanted to go somewhere to win, and not win in 3 years, not win next year. I have 1 year. Like I wanted to win now.
Yeah.
And it was like, I want to go to the place that's set up to win now. And for me, that was here. And I haven't seen any reason to think that's not the truth.
All right, we're in the middle of this big home swing here in early March. Kind of take me through, what do you think Tennessee fans have seen in you to this point? What do you feel like, as they watch you, they see in your game? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I think, my role on this team is a little different from like where I was in the past, which is a good thing because, I'm surrounded with guys that are great players, right? And, everybody wants to be a superstar, and I think we have a bunch of superstars, but I think we also have a lot of guys that are superstars that play the role. And, my role on this team is to, be a mature hitter that's consistent, that can be counted on in the middle of that lineup, and that's going to play good defense and, make the plays that need to be made, and also be a mature presence in that locker room because even though, we've started this season to this point, we're still young and we're still figuring things out. So from a guy that, has, 800 college at-bats and a couple hundred games under his belt, it's part of my job to try to get some of that maturity to rub off on some of these younger guys that, earlier in the season versus finding it out, 30, 40 games into the year and when it could be too late. So I think that's hopefully I want fans to look and say like, hey, that guy's a leader, and kids and the other, other guys on the team look at him as somebody that, they can trust and that, makes them better.
So I was talking to Coach Vitello, and I was like, who do you think it would be really good for Ball Club Confidential? And he sat down with us about a month ago or so, and instantly he said your name. He's like he just handled himself like a pro. He's smart. He's articulate. He just knows how to handle himself. You step in here, and you got Jared Dickey. We had him out a couple of weeks ago, and he says that if there's one person he can count on, it's you. You're new. Like, how have you kind of infused yourself into the program to the point where these guys that have been here are like, man, I know I can count on that guy?
Yeah, it's just something, just the way I was raised. I have a lot of thanks I can give to people for that, but I was just taught to handle your business first. And, when I came in here, I was kind of set reputation to the side because I was new here. Nobody knew who I was, and I was fine with that. But I was going to come in and, in the fall, I was going to come in and handle my business. And I wanted people to look at me and be like, wow, like this guy does his stuff the right way every day. And once, that kind of settled in for itself, I think people looked at me and they had a respect. I think whenever you go into a new situation, whether it be, a different sporting program, a different job, anything, you got to handle your own business first to get respect, right? I didn't want my name to carry weight with it. I didn't want people to judge me or give me, fake respect because of what I'd done in the past. I wanted people to give me respect for what I was doing. And I think once I did that and showed that, hey, like, I care about the right things and I do stuff the right way, that people were able to, trust me. And I think Jared, living with Jared definitely has, I think, a little pull on that. I don't know if he was sucking up to me or not, but no, I think it's been pretty cool to serve in a role like that, where like these guys, come to you to ask questions. And we were just hitting the other day, and freshmen come up and ask, like, hey man, like, what do you do in this situation? What do you do in here? And that makes me better voicing it, because sometimes I don't know, but I got to think about it and be able to tell them, and that makes me better, and then hopefully it makes them better. And at the end of the day, when I leave here in a couple months, that's the reality of it. I just want to be a guy that was here for 9 months that made a mark on this program that lasts way longer than that.
So how much did you immerse yourself in Tennessee athletics? Like, I mean, you picked a good time football-wise to roll in here. I mean, were you at all these games this fall just kind of enjoying being a student?
Yeah, I definitely think I've had a different appreciation for where I'm at in my life with a different experience here. I enjoyed the fall. I had fun. When I had time to, enjoy Knoxville, to enjoy football games and Saturdays here, like I did it. And looking back, I'm super happy I did. One, because it was kind of a one-shot thing for me here, but two, it's just given me so much reflective time to be thankful for where I'm at in my life. And, it's the same thing with baseball. And baseball's a tough game, man. It's hard. Especially as a hitter, it's hard. And it's like if you, just beat yourself up, you just add, fuel to the fire that you can get caught up in. And I think here, just enjoying every single day and, being thankful for every opportunity just puts you in a different mindset. And I think it helps you perform. So, with the football team and everything, this fall and everything I got to experience in that Alabama game, I was there. I mean, that's probably the single coolest sporting event I've ever been to in my life. And I know this is going to break Tennessee fans' hearts, but I didn't grow up a Tennessee fan, right? I wasn't a Tennessee fan growing up, but like immersing myself in everything that is here in this fan base and being a part of that fan base now is just awesome.
You morphed into one.
Right. And it quickly. And it's easy. I mean, it's easy to see why a school like this has success, right? They have good coaches, they have resources, and they have an engaged fan base and an athletic department that cares. And it's massive in baseball, right? You got to have an athletic department if you want to be a good baseball school that puts emphasis on being a good baseball school.
So only 4 hours from the house. It makes it easy for family to get down here for all the games. How much have they kind of enjoyed coming down to Knoxville some, letting you be you, letting you breathe and stuff, but at the same time kind of getting to be a small part of it?
Yeah, I definitely think, my parents especially are enjoying it. I only have one other sibling. It's my younger brother, and he's actually a freshman outfielder at Cincinnati now. So my parents are officially empty nesters. So I think I know my dad's eating it up, getting to come down to all the games, and that's cool, man. Like you look back when you're little, and you go play college, and you kind of forget about that stuff. But like it's awesome to see how much enjoyment I'm able to bring to my family and friends, and I have friends come visit me this fall and come for football games. I've had family come down for baseball games, girlfriend's family come down, and it's just cool. And I'm proud when they come that they're able to experience what it is that we have here, and that's a pretty cool thing.
You sound so reflective, like it. That no matter what happens at the next level, your college years are winding down,
right?
And so you're just kind of soaking up everything, whether that's hanging out with your buddies at your apartment playing PlayStation or batting practice or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely, when I leave here, want to be like I took every advantage of every opportunity that I had, and I don't want to look back. And I've kind of lived my life with no regrets in general, but there's some times where things get hard, and you look back and wish you had done things differently, but I don't think that's going to be the case with me here. I've honestly, with COVID and everything, and I know it wasn't a good thing for many, many people, but it gave me an extra year because my year got canceled, and I was like, man, I got house money to go play at possibly right now the nation's best casino. Like, how can you not enjoy it, right? Well, how can any day be that bad, kind of thing. So I've just loved it, and I think when you're happy with where you're at and you're in that kind of headspace, baseball is easier, I should say.
Best chili in Cincinnati.
Oh, Skyline, no doubt. If anybody says anything different, they're not from Cincinnati or they haven't been. Gold Star, the other place up there, acts, but no, Skyline by a mile.
Any particular toppings you put on there that are specific to Griffin Merritt?
No. I mean, I got my orders, man. I got if I'm kind of hungry, two cheese conies, onion and mustard. I do not drink. I'll say pop, and I know everybody's gonna be like, "What is that?" But in the Midwest, we say pop, not soda, whatever they say here.
I think they just say Coke here.
Coke here, yeah. So pop that's what I'm referencing. I don't think I drink pop anywhere else the entire year, but when you go to Skyline, you got to have a Dr. Pepper. Like, there's no
Dr.
doubt.
Pepper, that's my guy right there.
Yeah, so I go 2 conies, onion and mustard, Dr. Pepper. If I'm hungry, I'll do the same thing with a 3-way on the side, which you can't really call it a side, but
Dr. Pepper Zero, that's dangerous.
Is it? Yeah, see, I need to stay out of that world. Like, I'm cool with going to Skyline and having one, but I'm getting to the age where I need to probably start watching what I'm eating, so I'm gonna stay.
Oh yeah, you're getting real old. You're getting real old. Jeff Ruby's?
Yeah, great. I actually know Mr. Ruby. He's a good guy, and great steakhouse, great place. And if you're ever up in Cincinnati and you want to get a good steak at a place that is going to take care of you, definitely.
Filet, ribeye, what are we rolling?
I like the filet more. When I like steak, but I'm not like a huge steak guy. Where I'd rather have like a smaller, good steak for something. That's just volume, I guess. So,
sure.
But everything at Ruby's is good, so can't go wrong.
I asked Jared this a while back. Do you ever get on YouTube, watch old clips of guys that played 30 and 40 years ago? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you so this generation? Because you seem like an old soul who would sit back and watch Cal Ripken play or watch Cecil Fielder or try to look up, highlights of Reggie Jackson or whatever. Is that you or no?
I would actually say no. When I watch sports, especially baseball, I like to watch current because I'm one of those dudes where whatever I'm doing, I try to find some way to benefit what I care about. And right now I care about baseball. So if I'm watching the game, I want to watch current game, current guys, what they're doing that could make me better. And the way the game has changed immensely. I mean, even from my first year in college to now, the game has changed crazily. And in 5 years, it's going to be completely different than it is today. So when you ask me this same question in 5 years, I bet you they say, what I'm doing now might not help them be successful for whatever they're facing. But as a hitter now, it's, stuff's changing so much with analytics. And, back in the day, if you threw hard, you threw hard. If you didn't, you didn't. Well, nowadays, they can train anybody to throw 95. So that's kind of scary as a hitter, knowing that, it's not just like, oh, this guy here or this guy there has gifted velocity. Now it's every guy can, right? I mean, you got Ben Joyce throwing 105 miles an hour in college. I mean, and every kid on our staff's throwing 95 out there every inning. So it's trained now, and as a hitter, you got to adjust. Hitting's just adjusting. And, baseball goes through waves. Kind of funny you asked that question because back in the day, probably 10 years ago, everybody was talking pitcher-wise, throw at the knees, keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. Well, hitters adjust to that, right? It's down, and they go through the whole launch angle phase of, getting down on that ball so you can get it in the air, and all these home runs go up, right? So what do the pitchers do? Now, watch
get it up.
Now they throw up. They throw hard, and they spin the ball, and they stay up. Now the guys that are, real big launch angle can't catch up to it. So now who's having success? It's the guys that are able to get back on top of the ball, the same guys that were successful 20 years ago. So it goes in waves, and it's just a cat and mouse game. That's all baseball is pitchers trying to get hitters out. And that's it. And it's kind of weird how it goes through waves, but in 10 years it might be back to guys are hammering the up fastball. We got to get it down again. It's weird.
You're a Reds fan?
Yeah, I'd say unfortunately right now. Yeah, I'm happy for the Bengals. We'll say that. Always been a Reds fan. My family growing up, huge Reds fans, and they were pretty good when I was, 10, 11, 12 ages, but it's been tough of as recently of being a Reds fan.
There is no NBA team.
There's not. There used to be.
But you have the Cavs, which is Cleveland. And Cincinnati and Cleveland normally have a decent rivalry. Do Cincinnati sports fans like the Cavs in basketball?
I'm not a huge NBA guy in general, but for the most part, from everybody I know, I'd say no. No. Basketball in Cincinnati is more in the college rank. University of Cincinnati and Xavier, people get pretty passionate about those basketball.
Ohio State's not too far.
Yeah. But with Cincinnati getting pretty good in football lately, the university, a lot of people college-wise, if kind of that were Ohio State fans,
sure,
just because they were good, have kind of changed support to their backyard team, which has helped. And I know it helped that athletic department a lot. And with the Bengals being good now, I mean, since it's crazy. I compare Knoxville and Cincinnati. They're so similar. I think Knoxville is just a little smaller Cincinnati, really. And the people are really similar. I feel like that's why it's been so easy for me to transition, because I feel like it's literally like, as cliche as it sounds, it's like a second home, because it's really not different. And the fans here are so passionate about what they care about. And you see that every weekend at Tennessee sports, because pro sports aren't big in Knoxville. And it's the same thing in Cincinnati. As soon as the Bengals started making moves to win and showed that they wanted to win, I mean, people hopped on like crazy in support because they want to be a fan of something. So it's pretty cool.
All right, let's go rapid fire. How many sports did you play growing up?
3: football, basketball, and baseball. I played 3 in high school, and actually 3-time state champion in football.
What position in football?
Quarterback. Yeah. Football's the big one in Cincinnati.
Did you play Moeller?
No, I went to LaSalle.
Okay.
In Moeller's, it was us, Moeller, St. X, and Elder, with the 4 big all-male private schools up there. Kind of, that's where the football's at.
No doubt about that. When you were playing football, though, did you always know baseball was kind of my path, or were you still holding out hope football was going to be it?
Man, I kind of went back and forth on what I wanted to do the whole time. And, in high school, I'm like, do I want to play football? Do I want to play baseball? Do I want to football, baseball? When I realized I'm 6'2" and I can't jump, I'm like, maybe basketball isn't the best option. So kind of kicked that one to the side and played because I had fun with it. But as far as the future, I balanced back and forth between football and baseball, and then decided on, for probably the longevity of my health, I think baseball is probably a good decision. I see those guys out there on Saturday and just see me getting crushed. So I think I made a good choice.
Top 3 players you watched growing up?
Ken Griffey, no doubt. Chad Johnson / Chad Ochocinco for the Bengals. And still watching him and love everything about his game, Joey Votto. Talk about a guy that adjusts, makes adjustments, and does whatever it takes to win.
Favorite baseball superstition?
I'm not a big superstitious guy, honestly, but I got in a thing last year where before every game I'd go to Dunkin' Donuts and get an iced coffee. Like I think I got one like.
You're getting old if you're getting iced coffees.
That's what I'm saying, but like I was like 3 for 4. I'm like, there's some hits in this thing, so
sure that was it.
Yeah, I started donating, I think, money hand over fist to Dunkin' Donuts, and they rewarded me. So I've been going down the one on Chapman Highway to check out before these scrimmages. We'll see if it holds true here.
They get you an NIL deal.
That's what I've been reaching out like 3 times. So if anybody from Dunkin's listening, man, hit me up.
Did you trade baseball cards as a kid, and if so, which one was your prized possession?
I had baseball cards, but I didn't trade them. I wasn't like real big into that, but I remember having a good amount of baseball cards. I just liked anybody from the Reds. I hated anybody else, honestly.
Best baseball movie is what?
Field of Dreams.
If you could be one character in that movie, who would you be?
I gotta say Kevin Costner, right?
I'm with you on that. I'd be Moonlight Graham. Where are you going on your next vacation?
We usually go to Siesta Key as a family. We've been going for a bunch of years. It's outside of Sarasota in Florida, and I love it there. So I'll say Siesta Key.
What's your walk-up song?
Homecoming by Kanye West. It was kind of at Cincinnati, it was kind of cool because being from Cincinnati and having that be your walk-up song talks about homecoming, like coming back to where you're from. But I'm going to keep it here. I enjoy it, and it puts me, in a good routine.
I just love the guys that rock the wrestling themes. Old school, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Ric Flair. Those old school wrestling walkout songs is their walk-up music. Favorite place you found in Knoxville? It doesn't have to be a restaurant. It could just be some place you like to go and veg out, or it could be your favorite place to go eat, whatever.
My favorite little gem here is probably Dos Bros. It's a little different. It's like a different kind of Chipotle. I really like to eat there. I also like Nama. I'm a big sushi guy, so Nama's been pretty good. But a place I like to go in the fall, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, and somebody will reach out and say that I did, but I think it's Iams, or it's this like...
Iams Nature Center.
Yeah. And look, I'm not a big hike guy. I don't look like a big hike guy, but just to kind of get away from things sometimes, it was nice to go up there. And
it's not too far from campus.
Around. Yeah. It was nice.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, right on is that a river or a big lake right there? And it was a good reset. Like I said, baseball's hard. And sometimes, like, getting away from it and having just separating, that it's a game you play. It's not your life. And, like, having a reset can be huge for the game.
If you were, I'm going to double back to the movie thing. If you were a major league character, who would you be for the movie Major League?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. It's kind of crazy. I have a feeling if you ask that question to the entirety of the Tennessee baseball team, you probably have 60% of guys say, what's Major League? Because V all the time references like movies or, mainly movies and like team meetings, and the guys don't know what he's talking about. Like they don't know. And so I don't know. I know what the movies are, but I'm not sure who I'd be. But it's kind of crazy now that in those meetings, like V will make a reference like that, and half the guys will be like "What's Major League?" kind of thing. So it's kind of weird.
I asked Jared if there was somebody he could depend on, who would it be? And he said you, and you're new. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. To flip that from a competitive standpoint, not counting yourself, who's the most competitive guy on this team?
I think that's a good thing that, that I'm balancing between certain options, but I think our New Yorker, Christian Moore, Simo, probably wears it on his sleeve a little more than, probably a little more than anybody else in the country. But at the end of the day, the guy's super competitive. And, a guy that's been blessed with a lot of baseball talent, to see that, he's competitive and focused on the win is huge. Because I play with guys that are super talented where they couldn't care if you won or lost. They just wanted
As long as they got theirs.
Right. And, you know, of course, for Simo and everybody wants for him, that we want him to get his, we want him to play well. But I truly do believe that Simo cares about winning over everything, even as competitive and as well as he wants to do himself and as hard as he works, he cares about the win. That's huge.
I know the ultimate goal is to get to Omaha and play in the College World Series. How else does the movie producer script out this final go for you? What in a perfect world, what's it look like for you?
Yeah, a perfect world for me is to win a national championship. Of course, I want to be a big part of that, and I'd love to be a headliner guy on that tour. But if I'm not, then I'm not. I'd rather win. I want to win a national championship. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm still, playing college sports when I could have started a professional career. That's why I'm here. And it's to win. And that's why I transferred. And it all comes back to really, at the end of the day, all of this came because I wanted to win. And of course, I think that if we do win a national championship, that I'm going to have, a pretty sizable hand in my role. But at the end of the day, it's not about the personal stuff to me here. Right, I'm enjoying every second I have here, and if I leave here with the national championship, then there's nothing else that matters really.
You talked about earlier a new challenge. You got these SEC series coming up as we get towards the end of March and into April and May. Is that another big reason you came here? Is this run of games?
Yeah, I mean it's the SEC, and people aren't idiots. It's the premier baseball conference, and there's not really, a competitor to it. If you're a dude, you want to play in this conference. And, I felt like I was a dude, and I wasn't in that conference, so I got in it. And I'm excited to compete against, the other, quote-unquote, the other better teams in the country. And, they're going to have good stuff, and the pitchers are going to be good, hitters are going to be good, but we have really good pitchers, we have really good hitters, and we're ready to play. We're ready. I think, something people don't think about too much is for 7 or 8 months, 7 months, we'll say 6 months, all we do is play each other. So that means every day I'm hitting off of Chase Dollander, Chase Burns, Drew Beam, Andrew Lindsay, Zach Joyce, Seth Halverson, Jake Fiskett, all these guys. That's all I hit off of. Is it fun every day? No, it's not. I'm going to be completely honest. Sometimes it's really hard, but it makes you a lot better. And I know that when we jump in these SEC series, we're prepared. Right? There's a lot to be said to get in the box and be comfortable when that guy on the other, is wearing a jersey from another SEC school and he's throwing 100 with 4 pitches, and it's like, I've seen this. It's fine. Like, doesn't mean you're going to have success every time, but you're not going to be surprised. And that's a huge thing as a hitter, is getting in the box and knowing, like, hey, I've been here. I've had success here. I'm comfortable. Now let me go to work. Versus, I don't know what's going on. I've never seen a guy throw like that. I've never experienced this. Now there's 10,000 people looking at me. Oh, that's not what you want to be in as a hitter. But for me, I'm going to get in the box. When these series go, and games slow down.
All right. It continues to slow down as the SEC play approaches in just a few weeks. Griffin Merritt, we appreciate you joining us on Ball Club Confidential.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, go Balls.